after you've done the gravity filtration and decolorized your solution, by the way, the solution should look more or less the way it did when you first dissolved the acetonilide. If it is black or gray, you probably need to do another gravity filtration, okay? That means there's probably some kind of hole in your fluted filter paper and carbon got through. You do not want carbon moving forward. Once you have collected the filtrate from the gravity filtration, you let that solution cool to room temperature. Once you can touch it and it doesn't even really feel warm to your touch, that's when you can place that Erlenmeyer flask in an ice water bath for 5 minutes to finish crystal formation. Why are we using an ice water bath instead of just ice? You get more surface area if you have the ice and the water mixed together. Ice, of course, will only pack so efficiently around glassware, so we make ice water baths. The main thing to remember is to not make your ice water bath so large in volume that your Erlenmeyer flask is bobbing in it. What you don't want is for your Erlenmeyer flask to potentially flip over in the ice water bath. Then you would have crystals going into your water for the bath, and you would have a loss of yield. So after you have chilled your crystals, and again, if crystals don't form, you'll need to scratch the surface of your flask in order to induce crystal formation. You'll use one of the vacuum filtration setups that we have in the lab to remove the solvent, okay? Make sure that your filter flask is clean and that your Buchner flask is clean, okay? You need to go ahead, plan ahead, and get some solvent, your recrystallizing solvent, in either a test tube, a beaker, or a graduated cylinder, and go ahead and be chilling that for use for your final rinse. Make sure to weigh the filter paper that you'll be using in the Buchner funnel so that you have that mass, okay? It will be very difficult to scratch all of these crystals off the filter once you've done the filtration. So we always go ahead and count the mass in the mass of the filter paper so that we can subtract it out of our final mass. Once you have filtered the once you've filtered your crystal solution through the filter paper the first time, once it's hooked up to vacuum, you will disconnect the setup and actually pour the mother liquor that you collected in your filter flask back into your Erlenmeyer flask where the crystals used to be. Remember, you tried to suspend the crystals as much as possible before you poured them into the Buchner funnel. However, inevitably, there will still be some crystals left in there. The mother liquor will help to rinse those out. You're going to be using the mother liquor in 4 to 5 milliliter portions, so you may actually want to pour the mother liquor into a beaker so that you can slowly portion out your portions of mother liquor rinses, because of course you will need to put the filter flask back into the apparatus once you've poured out the mother liquor. Since we're using the mother liquor, it's especially important that your filter flask is clean, because whatever is in the filter flask is going to be transferred with the mother liquor and reintroduced to your now purified crystals. You don't want to reintroduce impurities at this point. After you have rinsed your Erlenmeyer flask with the mother liquor, again, the mother liquor may also have some crystals in it, so this has the added benefit of hopefully collecting crystals that might have gone through the filter paper. If you're concerned about losing crystals, you can always double up on your filter paper. Just make sure that you record the mass of both pieces of filter paper that you're putting into the Buchner. Usually you can tell by the shape of the crystals. If they're nice, large crystals, hopefully they won't go through the pores within the filter paper. Your final rinse is always with pure recrystallization solvent, and remember, it needs to be chilled so that it's not dissolving any of the crystals that are on your filter paper. I know that there's a small chance that the room temperature solvent would dissolve it, but any rise in temperature, so if you can have it cold, that's a better way to rinse as opposed to room temperature, since solubility does increase with an increased temperature. we're going to allow your crystals and the paper that they're on, the filter paper that they're on, to dry on a watch glass in your drawer over the next week. Make sure to write your initials on the watch glass and get the mass of the watch glass. Not all watch glasses are made equally, trust me. So you want the mass of your watch glass that your filter and crystals will be on. I know some people in the quant lab will be sharing drawers, so we can either find a place to potentially isolate the crystals in the lab, or like I said, just write your initials on the watch glass so that we can tell whose watch glass is whose within the drawer. After your crystals have dried, next week you'll take a melting point of your recrystallized acetanilide as well as the crude acetanilide. You'll do that only after you have gotten your final masses, because you'll be removing material and of course impacting your mass of your isolated product. Typically the way that we do the melting points, to avoid the bottleneck that we had last week, you'll kind of take the melting points as you have time during next week's lab, or you could come in on a Friday to get your melting points. That's the only day that we don't have labs in the organic lab this year, and it actually turned out to work pretty well for people to come in Friday after class, before, or even after one of our quizzes.